Hey guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. I think I'm going to change that today. I'm going to make a new intro today. If I can't find that music clip, which I could just easily strip out of that one, not a problem. But yeah, I'm going to make a new one today with different judges, maybe. Or I'll sleep all day. Who knows? Oh, guys, it's the big day. Now, someone hold down Fozzie because he's not going to be happy. Look, look, look. My button is no longer grayed out. Oh, you can't see. Oh, now you can't see. See it? There it is. Don't do it. Oh, Fozzie told me not to do it, guys. Sorry. I can't do it. See? See? I have to wait. I don't know why I have to wait, but I'll wait. All right, I'm not waiting any longer. There it is. There's the button. Oh, gotta move Fozzie out of the way. Fozzie, get out of the way. There we go. It's done. You have successfully submitted your application. Refresh the page after a while. Okay, let's do it. Oh, look, I'm still under review. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's probably going to take me a couple months. It's just my luck. I was thinking today when I was like thinking I'm going to push the button tonight. I'm going to finally push the button tonight. I was looking back over like the last 90 days that I've been waiting, and like if I was watching someone on YouTube and their last 90 days was like my last 90 days, I would think they're full of shit. I really would. I would think they're just, they're not they're not being completely honest here, but I am. And it's over now. It's all over now. We just gotta wait. Wait. Linus. Or should I say Lenicky? Is that close? Just tell me. Tell me if I was close. Now what? Now why is my internet only Oh gosh. Okay, I know why. I'll just close everything. I got a new computer. I can't use it. Mm. Oh, speaking of guys, this is stupid. I know it's stupid because like people get this much off of like not this much. People get 100 times this off of one video, but I did just hit 1 million views. Not not on one video, all videos, all combined. I have over 1 million views. But all right, it's time, my good psycho. I hope you're ready. So this is one of those courts where you can't rewind. And I did miss a few minutes. I think I went to make a sandwich. So like you don't know when they're going to start. They don't say. I mean, maybe they do say at 10, just like Judge Fleischer says at 9:30, but he really doesn't start until like 9:45 or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or sometimes 9:30. So, I they don't really tell me when they're gonna start, and I wanted to get it all. I did wanna get it all, but, I gotta do things like eat and go to the bathroom and stuff. So, I missed a few minutes of this. I don't think it's a big deal. You guys still remember the other officer. This officer says the same thing the other officer says. You'll be fine. Just breathe through it. Here we go.
From what I recall, I remember I secured a right arm for him and basically assisted him putting the handcuffs on him.
Did he appear to have control of one of her arms?
As I was approaching, yes.
Do you see that female he was struggling with in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot again. I need like a secretary. So a recap real quick. This is part 4. If you haven't seen 1, 2, or 3, police got a call. There's shooting in the neighborhood. Bullet went into her 4-year-old daughter's bedroom. She did not get hurt. Nobody in this video gets hurt except for feelings. Feelings get hurt. So they go to this big property, which is either 3 acres, 10 acres, or 100 acres, because I got all 3 in comments. They go to this big property, barn. People are drinking outside, like, I don't know. I'm just going to say 12 people because I don't know how many are out there. Around the fire pit, playing cornhole. People are outside drinking. 2 men are over a bit firing weapons for some reason. I don't know. The wife of one of those men supposedly is in the house asleep when this all happens. Okay. So police get the call. First officer arrives on the scene, and this woman is outside to greet him. I don't know how she woke up. Didn't get to that, but she's outside to greet him. And she's like, no one's firing. No one's firing any weapons. No one pointed any weapon at you. And while she's saying there's no one firing any weapons, knuckleheads are over there firing 25 more shots that the officer heard. And he left her and ran towards the gunfire. So while he runs over, announcing, "Police, stop shooting. Police, stop shooting." The one heard him put his gun down to his side. The other guy, I think her husband, I could be wrong, kept shooting until he was tased, and then he dropped the gun. So the police are trying to round up all the people around the fire, which includes his wife. But his wife is putting a camera on him and filming him. Now, the police officer, the first one and maybe the second one, I don't really remember, was absolutely not kind about any of this. There was a lot of swearing going on by him. And he did it all in a mean way, but he had just run directly into gunfire. So he was a little bit hyped up, just a little bit. And he didn't know what was going on behind him while he was running in towards the gunfire either. So he's screaming and yelling at people and dropping the F-bomb here and there and there. And she's trying to film with her camera, and he tries to handcuff her. She pulls away. Her camera falls out of her hand. And that's when another officer arrives on the scene. So today we are listening to the other officer. Now, if you look at this right here, we already heard his testimony. So you can go back into the last stream. Don't go to the last stream. I didn't have it in the last stream. Go to the stream before the last stream. And you'll hear his testimony. But today we get to hear, so he was the first one on the scene. Today we get to hear the other officer and how he arrives at the scene. Oh, and for some reason, and I'm not really sure why, but they're saying she was drunk. I don't know why that's a big deal, but the charges against her are obstructing justice, obstructing an officer from doing his official duty, and one more thing that's not obstructing that I keep forgetting, but don't worry, they'll say it in chat. So just look at the chat. Oh yeah, and they tells the mother to sit down, and she just wants infant, her infant, which is right over there. Not thinking about the infant that had a bullet stuck in her bedroom wall. But anyway, we get to hear some body footage today and see some. Don't worry, some more.
Could you please identify her, point out the make she's wearing?
Defense stable black shirt.
Your Honor, we'd ask the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
Yes.
And were you wearing a body camera that day?
Yes.
Is Is that part of your standard issue, part of your uniform?
Yes.
Do you wear it for every shift?
Yes.
Was it functioning on that day?
It was.
And did it record your interaction with Deputy Fox and the defendant?
Yes.
Have you reviewed that video?
Yes.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of what happened?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time, permission to place these exhibit 2.
Yes.
There is a delay in audio, correct? Your
Correct.
audio.
I believe there's a 30-second playback.
I am not fucking fighting him.
Yes, you are. You're resisting. Give me your fucking arm.
Give me your arm.
Okay, I
Now.
am not fighting him. That is my thumb, not my wrist, sir. What is going on?
Have you guys been checked out?
So fair to say that is not the entirety of the time you were on the scene, correct?
Correct.
This is your interaction with Deputy Fox in arresting Sierra Bailey.
Correct.
What did you do the rest of the time you were on the scene?
I do know that once I arrived on scene, Deputy Fox and I believe Officer Cliff, there may have been another deputy that secured almost everybody. At that point, it was more or less securing the scene for evidence purposes and everything like that, and keeping the remaining people up front away from the active crime scene.
Okay. Fair to say this was not your investigation,
Correct.
and not your scene. You were doing what other people asked you to do.
Correct.
How would you describe the defendant's demeanor in that interaction you had with her with Deputy Fox?
It's definitely highly agitated.
And it appeared you were quickly able to gain her compliance once you arrived.
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Cross-examination, Mr. Shuett.
Officer Ratliff, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Just been talking a lot today,
Yeah,
so if I start to fade out, let me know.
They're bad.
Had you ever been to 5274 Zora Road before September 23rd, 2023?
Don't believe so.
The name Thomas Bailey, who would have lived at that address, mean anything to you before that night?
Not to my knowledge.
Or Sierra Bailey?
Not to my knowledge.
She recognized her as somebody you would have dealt with before that night?
Not before that night, no.
Did you know Deputy Fox before that night?
Yes.
How long had you known him?
I've known of him, I would say just shy of a year, just under a year.
Just from your working together?
Yeah, I mean, South Lebanon and Hamilton Township butt up with each other. So
Now, the body worn camera we just watched, that's on your chest, correct?
right here.
You can see it right now,
Yep.
correct? You're pointing to your sternum area?
Yep.
And how does that activate?
A gun draw, or if I push it twice, the center button.
And which was it this time?
I can't recall, to be completely honest. I don't know if I had my gun out once I ran up or not.
You did have to run all the way down a long driveway, correct?
Correct.
Around kind of a corner till we saw that you were up near the,
Slightly. I mean, it wasn't that much of a bend. I know there's vehicles off to the left,
but it wasn't the front end of the driveway.
correct.
Talk about what you knew when you arrived. You had been given a dispatch to respond to that scene, correct?
Correct.
And was that the initial or because of a call that Deputy Fox put in?
What was the last part? I didn't catch
Were you
what
responding because Deputy Fox had asked for backup?
To my knowledge, the tones were dropped once I responded.
Were you given any other information about what was going on at the scene?
All I can recall, I can't remember the verbiage. I just know it was a very serious matter. He needed backup.
Anything that you remember that Sierra Bailey was the one that was pointing a gun at him or anything like that?
Yeah, there was nothing in the call that was name dropping anybody, obviously.
So when you arrived on scene and saw Deputy Fox, as we just saw, had he spoken to you as to why he was trying to arrest her?
Obviously, at that point, once I ran up, I was seeing him and trying to secure her and detain her as he's trying to investigate the scene. And obviously, at that point, I'm not going to ask questions. Right?
So fair to say, though, he didn't communicate, this is why I'm arresting her to you.
Yeah, which is not that normal, correct?
And as far as, do you know if he communicated to her why he was detaining her?
I just think, I believe what was stated in the body-worn camera. He asked for her arm, she neglected to give him her arm.
And I understand that in that moment, he felt like she was pulling away. But before that, when he first approached, do you know if he said, this is why you're under arrest?
I don't believe I was there for that.
Okay. And was that ever communicated to you?
Not that I recall.
Did you fill out a narrative or report in this case?
No,
Just submitted the body-worn camera that we saw.
correct.
When you were speaking, what we didn't see, it was cut off, but you have a conversation, at least brief conversation with Miss Bailey right after that, correct?
A small one, I believe it was, yes.
You told her to sit down.
Yeah.
She complied.
Mhm.
Is that a yes? Sorry.
Oh, yes.
Not the only one. She didn't try to run away or anything like that from you, correct?
No, not for me. Once she was placed in handcuffs, she was compliant.
And she sat there the whole time as much as
I
you
wasn't,
saw.
I didn't stand with her the entire time, but
And as you told her to sit down, you actually had to pick her phone up off of the ground, correct?
Correct.
And then you kind of tossed it to where she was at, correct?
that I can't remember. Can't recall.
Would it help to watch the few seconds of?
Yeah, if you want to play it, yeah.
Can I do that from up here, Your Honor? What do we have to do?
I think it works better if you put it.
If I could just have a moment, Your Honor, to plug everything in.
Is your client, Ms. Fairbanks, is your client here?
Yes. She just showed up at pre-trial and they're getting ready to test her.
Okay.
She just showed up. I just think
This looked familiar as the same body-worn camera that we just saw.
Yes.
You can tell by the date and the information at the top there.
Yes.
Just to put, that is the same what we were just watching, though, right?
Correct.
Spooter, I didn't name it.
I am not fucking fighting him.
Yes, you are. You're resisting. Give me your fucking arm.
Give me your arm.
Okay, I
Now.
am not fighting him. That is my thumb, not my wrist, sir. What is going on?
You guys been checked out? You got anything on them?
You can't trust any of them, so
Sir, may I please walk over to my baby and see if she's okay?
Sit down over
Could you walk me to my infant? She is right over there, please.
Sit over here, please. Okay, let us get figured out what's going
Can
on.
you ask who
I
is
will.
holding my infant to bring her to you?
Can you please sit down?
Yes, sir. I
Thank
can.
you.
Can I ask how my Can I please have my phone? That is very beautiful. Thank you.
Her phone was on the ground, correct?
Yes. Yes.
You gave it to her, correct? All right. And it was already on the ground, is that correct? You didn't throw it on the ground, correct?
I think it came out of her hands when she was being placed in handcuffs.
And
Legal fiction, threw it on the ground. I'm telling.
so you had an opportunity to speak with her. Did you note any slurring of her speech just now?
Not that I can recall.
I am sorry. It's very angry. And that really was the conversation that you had with Sarah Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, it was brief.
You were focusing on other people, correct? And
Correct.
securing evidence. Is that correct?
Correct.
That was that camera that we just saw, that's your initial showing up at the scene, correct?
Correct.
So you don't know what happened before you arrived, is that correct?
Correct. I wasn't there.
When you were there, you didn't see any injuries to Deputy Fox, correct?
Not initially. I do believe I made sure he was okay. He said he was okay. Obviously, I didn't check him over for injuries.
But nothing was drawn to your attention that he was injured,
Correct.
or injured more specifically by Sarah Bailey, correct?
Correct.
And then once you had her sit down, are you aware of any time that she got up and interfered with what you guys were doing?
Again, not that I mean, I didn't sit there the entire time with her.
I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Redirect.
Very briefly.
Oh, and just for, I was gonna say for identification purposes, we call that clip like defense E. E is an Edward.
That's a terrible name. You're not going to get any views. Defense.
When you first approached, Sierra Bailey still had her phone in her hand. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you even hear her in the video comment that somebody's grabbing her phone, not her hand.
Correct.
Is it common to leave cell phones in the possession of someone who's under arrest?
Not on their person at the time when we placed handcuffs on them. Correct.
So the fact that her cell phone was taken out of her hand when she was handcuffed is not uncommon.
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Nothing further based on those questions. Thank you.
I didn't quite catch what you said. You were identifying
Just
plaintiffs.
that clip, since it's like I believe 9 seconds longer than the states would be defense E as in Edward.
Okay. Okay, you can step down, officer. Thank you. Next witness.
Say we call Dustin Bennett. He may be out there.
He's right outside.
Have you spoken with Mr. View, Ms. Fairbanks?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know what's going to happen?
There's been an offer to resolve the case. I'll need time to speak with my client about it and meet with my client, so I would just ask for a further pretrial date.
Just said another pretrial? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me just check and get the report from CIP, and we may get you out of here.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in today's case to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Could you please state your name, spelling your last name for the record?
My name's Dustin Bennett, Bennett.
And are you familiar with an individual by the name of Sierra Bailey?
I am.
How do you know Sierra Bailey?
I worked with her husband briefly, and her and I became friends.
Are you friends with her today?
I am.
About how long have you known Sierra Bailey and her husband, the Baileys?
About a year and 4 months.
Okay. And were you at the Bailey residence on Zor Road, 5274 Zor Road, on September 23rd of last year?
I was.
And why were you there that day?
We were celebrating my birthday.
Having a party?
Yeah.
How long were you at the Zor Road property that day?
I was the first one to arrive there other than who lived there. I think I got there around 3:30, 4 o'clock that day.
In the afternoon? And who does live there?
It was TJ, Sierra, and their children.
Do you recall what time? We've heard a lot today about the police showing up. Do you recall approximately what time that was?
It was dark in September, so maybe around 9:30, 10 o'clock.
So you'd been there 6 to 7 hours.
Yeah, been there for a while.
About how many people came to your birthday party?
I believe it was 10 altogether. It's been a long time. That's like a rough estimate. I believe it was 10.
And were those all adults? Were there children? What was the makeup of people?
One of the families that came brought their child, and then the other children that were there were TJ and Sierra's.
So one additional child.
Yeah.
Was there drinking?
Yeah, there was drinking.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What were people drinking? How much were people drinking?
From what I witnessed, it was just beer. As far as like an amount of everybody, I couldn't give you an answer on that.
Was there any liquor?
There were shots towards the end of the night.
Okay. And would that be prior to when there was shooting on the property?
Yes.
I need more information. What kind of shots? What were they?
Was Thomas Bailey, TJ Bailey, was he drinking?
Yes.
What was he drinking?
From what I saw, beer. He was in the room when the shots were taken, but I don't know if he took shots or not.
Okay. And did you see him drink more than one beer?
Possibly.
Okay.
Again, I can't say exactly how much he had. I wasn't like babysitting anybody or watching anybody all night.
That's fair. At some point in the evening, you and Mr. Bailey decide to start shooting.
It was originally me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bailey joins you.
Yes.
How many firearms were there?
There were 2.
200.
Do you recall what time you started shooting?
What I was for.
So 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Okay. So it's still daylight when you start shooting, and the police come, and it's dark, and maybe 9:30.
Yeah. We weren't shooting the entire time. I had taken my niece back there. It was just her and I at first. I was trying to instruct her on how to operate a firearm. So we
How
had
to shoot a
firearms,
4-year-old's
shots,
bedroom.
And then 45 minutes of it was me going through with her how to properly hold the firearm.
Okay. But you started shooting in the daylight and ended in the darkness.
Yes, ma'am.
And was there anything special? Well, strikeout. What kind of firearm were you shooting?
I own a Glock 19. He had a Torres G3C, I believe.
For non-firearm people.
They were pistols.
Okay, handguns.
Yes.
Were they equipped with anything special like a silencer?
No.
How much ammunition between yourself and Mr. Bailey did you shoot that night?
I'd say maybe 50 to 75 rounds.
So it's 50 to 75 bullets.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think was in the daylight versus the nighttime?
More of it was that night.
To your knowledge, was Sierra Bailey on the property the whole time?
She
Your
was.
whole party?
She was there. She spent a good majority of the time with her kids.
But you didn't know her to ever leave the property and return?
No, I take that back. She did leave to go to the store at one point, briefly though.
Was that in the daylight?
Yeah, still in the daylight.
Wake up, Judge.
At some point, law enforcement arrives.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what happens from your perspective at that point?
So when law enforcement had arrived, I was actively shooting the firearm. When I finished firing my rounds, that was when we heard a voice say, "Get on the ground." We turned around and there was a flashlight there. We couldn't see what was behind the flashlight. I placed my firearm on the ground. And then I started to notice the deputy moving in a different direction and walking straight towards us. So it clicked in my head, that is a police officer. And that was when we started to get on the ground.
Who is we?
It was me, Brianna Bennett, my niece, and TJ was back there. He hadn't gotten on the ground yet. And that was when the officer started making his movements.
What did TJ do instead of getting on the ground?
He stood up and walked towards the police officer.
He got
They came in the
tased.
officer's direction.
His gun was not by his side. From your perspective, did it appear to be aimed at Deputy Fox?
It could have been. It was definitely in a area where if you were looking at it, you wouldn't feel safe.
What was going through your head at that time?
My 18-year-old niece was back there.
Again, this is not the trial of Thomas Bailey.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead, sir, you can answer.
I was in fear for my niece's life.
Fair to say you were worried a firearm was going to be discharged at a
I
person.
was, yes.
How far would you say those barns, kind of where you were shooting? We've been looking at a picture all day. Does that appear to be the Bailey property?
Yes, ma'am.
And we've heard testimony that the shooting was somewhere back in this area. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
How far, from your estimation, is it from the, well, strike that. Where were you before you started shooting? Where were you hanging out?
Before?
Yes.
You see where the fire pit is?
Is that here?
That is. Right there, right beside it in the driveway. They had cornhole set up.
Okay. So that's where you were spending most of your time.
Yes, ma'am.
How far in your estimation is it from where you were hanging out and there was cornhole to back where you were shooting?
I'd say a football field, maybe a little less, 100 yards or more.
No more.
No more than that.
Were you wearing ear protection that day?
I was not.
Do you typically wear ear protection when you shoot?
I do when I'm indoors, yes.
You were detained and arrested this night, correct?
I was.
And once you lowered your firearm, you were compliant with law enforcement.
I was, yes.
Were you ever anywhere else on the property that we see kind of in this area while TJ was shooting?
I was right next to him.
You were standing right next to him.
Yes, ma'am.
How loud is your firearm?
It's loud. I couldn't really compare it to anything. It's just something you would have to experience, but it's not quiet.
Would you be surprised if people heard your gunfire in this neighborhood?
I wouldn't.
Would you be surprised if people did not hear your gunfire in the driveway?
It would have surprised me, yeah.
While you were shooting with TJ, were you ever concerned with how he was handling the firearm?
I had some moments, yes.
Did you attribute that to anything?
I wouldn't say I attributed it to anything. Like I said, we had been drinking, so I don't think that was the first thing that went into my mind. But there were some safety concerns that he had, and that's how guns ended up being switched.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Cross.
You hear me okay, Dustin?
I can.
All right, can I ask you to speak up a little bit more?
Yes, sir.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
You went to the Bailey residence for your birthday party, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
And there was about 10 people or so that were there.
Yes, sir.
You know Taylor Preston?
I do.
And who's Taylor Preston?
She is a friend of the group.
Was she there that night?
Briefly.
What do you mean by briefly?
She was there all the way up until birthday cake was done, so right before dark, and then she left. So before the actual incident with the police officer, she was not there.
Right. And you said there was an event with birthday cake. So can you describe what happened with that?
So a friend had brought birthday cake for me. It was like a cinnamon bundt cake type thing. We all went into the side room that you saw in the picture, and we were doing birthday cake there. And at that point in time, alcohol had started being sprayed around while they were singing happy birthday.
And where was Sierra Bailey with you at that point?
No, she had made the comment that she was allergic to cinnamon and that she was tired, so she had went inside to lay down with her kids.
Before you had gone in for cake?
Yes.
So before dark?
Yeah.
Before Taylor left then?
I believe Taylor left at the same time that she went inside.
You have your cake, and then is that when you went back to the hay stall area?
Yes, sir.
Did you see Sierra out when you were going back towards that area?
No, sir. I had approached TJ and asked him if it was okay for me to go fire the weapon, and then me and my niece went back there by ourselves.
Did you ever have that conversation with Sierra?
I did not know.
Was she there when you were asking TJ?
She was not, no.
And she already gone inside?
She had, yes.
Did you ever see Sierra come back out of the house that night?
No, I was in the back, and by the time everything had happened, I had already been detained and placed in a police car.
And so did you shoot after, when I mean shoot, so actually a firearm, not alcohol. Did you, the first time that you were shooting your firearm, was that after you had cake?
Yes. Yes, it was.
So at no point prior to that had you been shooting on the property, is that correct?
Not that day.
Fair enough. Oh,
Yeah,
but
not
on
that day.
that night for your birthday,
Yes.
correct? And so at no point while Sierra was actually out there had you been shooting your firearm, correct?
No, sir.
It's not correct, or she wasn't out there?
No, she was not out there.
When Deputy Fox approached and TJ pointed his gun in the direction of the deputy, was Deputy Fox approached?
No. I didn't even know Sierra was out there when we were going through that. I didn't know she was even there. So no.
She wasn't screaming anything at her husband?
There was a lot of people screaming stuff.
Okay.
So
Did you see Sierra run in the way of the officer or anything
no,
like
I
that?
was more focused on staying on the ground. Like I said, I was in fear that weapons were going to be discharged.
Any reason to believe that TJ did what he did that night because Sierra told him that you can think of?
Not at all. No.
You were charged in this case, correct?
I was.
You had one of them dismissed, correct?
I did.
And the rest you're doing intervention in lieu,
Yes, sir.
which would allow you to have them all dismissed.
Yes, sir.
You would avoid any convictions.
Yes, sir.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Redirect.
Very briefly. Have you ever been inside the Bailey residence?
I have.
Are you aware if it has soundproof walls?
No, ma'am.
And is it a new house, an old house?
It's an older farmhouse.
Does it have new windows, new doors, anything like that?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't
Looks like
inspect
an
it.
old farmhouse.
Yeah, it's an old farmhouse.
And Sierra was not present, the defendant was not present when alcohol was getting sprayed with the birthday shot.
No, ma'am.
I could have just a moment, Your Honor. Were you aware that Sierra was recording kind of the tail end of Deputy Fox's interactions with yourself and Mr. Bailey?
No, ma'am. Like I said, I was already on the ground or either in a police the back of a deputy's patrol car.
Would it surprise you that Miss Bailey said that TJ did not point his weapon at Deputy Fox?
Not at that point in time, no.
Because she couldn't see it, or?
Yeah, as I said, it was really dark. There were flashlights back there. I mean, when Deputy Fox pulled in the driveway, he didn't even have emergency lights on. So
Would you have been able to hear those
the emergency lights
in the back if he had lights and sirens on? Do you think
the
you would have?
sirens, yeah, we would have been able to hear those and see it. But
Both.
as I said, when he pulled in, they weren't on.
Was there loud music playing?
There was.
Could you hear it back where you were?
You could hear it, but it was one of those things where you had to be really paying attention to know that it was there.
Probably Guns N'
Are you aware
Roses.
of where TJ got his weapon from that night?
I am not, no.
I have no further questions.
Reed
Nothing
Cross.
further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. Next witness.
Your Honor, pending the admission of exhibits, the state has no further witnesses.
Okay. Do you have any objection to any of the exhibits? Mr.
No.
Okay. All right. You ready to proceed?
We have a motion to talk about, I don't want to do that in the
Okay.
presence of the jury, but otherwise, yes, we're ready.
Okay, I've got a couple of cases that weren't here on time that we're going to try and do, so we'll take a break. Just for the record, you've got exhibits 1, 2, and 3.
That's correct.
Okay. And number 3 is also defense exhibit E.
Well, defense exhibit E, Your Honor, is 9 seconds longer
Then two.
than
state's-
2.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they're slightly.
So you're moving to admits 1, 2, and 3, correct? Okay, so 1, 2, and 3 are admitted. Anything on behalf of Ms. Bailey?
Yes, Your Honor, we would make a Rule 29 motion at this time to dismiss all 3 charges, specifically with both counts 1 and count 2. Even in the light most favorable to the prosecution at this point, there's insufficient evidence that Mrs. Bailey had a purpose to impede, delay, or obstruct. There's been insufficient evidence of a threat of harm because of her statements. There is also insufficient evidence at this point that there were false statements that she made for count 2. As it relates to count 3, the resisting, there is insufficient evidence that this was a lawful arrest. Part of the lawful arrest, as made clear by the Supreme Court in State versus DeRye, it's D as in dog, ARRAH, is that they must prove it was a lawful arrest, and part of a lawful arrest includes that Mrs. Bailey understood that she was being arrested. We have no evidence on the record that that was communicated to her in any way. Deputy
Handcuffs?
Fox has acknowledged that he, in fact,
Handcuffs.
did not. We have the video. He did not tell her that. But also, to be a lawful arrest, it must be supported by a warrant or probable cause. There was no warrant. And based on the testimony of Deputy Fox, there isn't sufficient evidence to say that there was even probable cause of obstruction. He stated he arrested her for what she said in the driveway, not anything after, but what he said when she said when he showed up at the driveway. I asked him what evidence he had, what facts he could point to, and it was just that I don't believe her. That is a hunch. It's not even articulable suspicion, and it doesn't rise to the level of probable cause that is necessary to have a lawful arrest. Part of the element of resisting is that she recklessly resisted a lawful arrest.
Now, when I was married, I don't believe him was good enough to get him in trouble.
So even in the light most favorable to the prosecution at this point, there are not sufficient articulable facts to establish probable cause for obstruction of official business. And therefore, without the element of a lawful arrest being established, there is insufficient evidence to proceed with the resisting arrest charge at this point.
Any response from the state?
Your Honor, there certainly was probable cause. He encountered individuals. He encountered Miss Bailey. Miss Bailey said, "There's nobody shooting." He had evidence of a shooting in the direction coming from potentially that property. He asked multiple times. He did not find those statements credible, and then he heard gunfire. That certainly substantiates probable cause for purposes of making an arrest on probable cause of obstructing official business. As for whether she knew she was under arrest, you hear in her own video, she makes comment to Deputy Fox as he's approaching about putting her in handcuffs and how that violates her rights. She certainly knew what was going on. And even if the court wants to believe she didn't know at that point, she knew when there's a handcuff being put on her wrist. And she actively resisted that action. That can be seen in her own video, and that can be seen in Officer Ratliff's video. As for the obstructing charges, the state agrees and submits. It's a circumstantial case.
Drinking it.
Cannot be in
I'm
the mind
drinking
of
it.
someone else. But when taking all of the circumstances that have been testified to
All of
in
it.
this trial and viewing the evidence in the light most favorable to the state has surpassed the burden of Rule 29.
Okay, in the first count of the indictment, the defendant, Sierra Bailey, is charged with obstructing official business. Before you can find the defendant guilty, this is the jury instruction, you must find beyond a reasonable doubt that on or about September 23, 2023, Warren County, Ohio, the defendant, without privilege to do so, and with purpose to prevent, obstruct, or delay the performance by a public official or any authorized act within the official's capacity, did an act that hampered or impeded a public official in the performance of his lawful duties. So let's just break that down. What did she do with purpose to prevent, obstruct, or delay the officer of any authorized act within his capacity?
She lied.
What was the lie?
There was not shooting on her property.
And is there any
I
proof
don't
she knew
remember
there was
either.
shooting on the property?
There was gunfire approximately
It
a
was
half a
something.
football field away, that people in an adjoining neighborhood, well beyond a half a football field away, reported hearing.
Okay,
This is a full jury trial. The jury is currently out of the room because the defense attorney has a motion to dismiss all charges on the floor. So they're talking about his motion to dismiss before they bring the jury back in.
circumstantial evidence. She's yards away from 50 to 75 rounds being fired and reports that there is no gunfire. And then there proceeds to be gunfire.
so you're saying when she expressed that she did not hear gunfire, that somehow delayed him from performing an act?
Correct.
What was the delay? Is there any evidence of a delay?
His testimony that had he been informed that there was in fact shooting, he would have responded back and been able to investigate the source of the bullet that landed at 5116 Grand Frederick.
Didn't the shots occur? Well, there was more than one answer. The shots occurred almost exactly the time that he asked her this, right?
He'd been asking for approximately 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
He testified that his interaction was approximately 2 minutes with the group that included Miss Bailey, who was denying gunfire on the property.
You're saying her response delayed him.
Correct.
So she had no obligation to say anything, but once she said, no, I didn't
Someone
hear
else's
it,
house in the
or
neighborhood
no, there's no
behind
shooting,
their
that
house.
delayed him.
Correct.
Beside their house, near their house.
She is under no obligation to speak, but once she spoke falsely,
What is it about what she said that delayed him?
if she had said yes, he would have responded back before there was any additional shots fired, and he could have continued his investigation. Instead, she said no. He stands there having further conversation and then runs back into an active shooting situation.
Obstructing justice. The defendant with purpose to hinder the discovery, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of another for the crime of using weapons
That's
while
lovely.
intoxicated, or to assist another to benefit from the commission of the crime of using weapons while intoxicated, communicated false information to any person. So you're saying her statement that there was no shooting was done with the purpose to hinder the discovery, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of another for the crime of using weapons while intoxicated.
Yes, sir.
Would she have to know they were intoxicated?
Yes, and I think there's been testimony that everyone was openly drinking that day.
I'm just proud that she's been quiet the whole time. That must be hard for her.
Was there any testimony that her husband was under the influence of alcohol?
Dustin Bennett testified that he observed him drinking prior to them shooting, and that he had safety concerns with how Mr. Bailey was handling the firearm, and he knew that they'd been drinking.
Okay.
They weren't
Well, this
drinking
is-
alcohol. It was traveling to their mouth.
Okay, go ahead.
The key language also here is though that her purpose had to be to prevent. While the state is asserting it is false, they're putting together circumstantial evidence that wasn't known. There's no evidence on the record that Sierra Bailey heard any of these shots. There's conjecture, but there's certainly not sufficient evidence that when she said nobody is shooting, that she had the purpose to prevent or delay or hide a crime that was occurring. We heard from Dustin, the state's own witness, Dustin Bennett said, Sierra Bailey was in the house and had gone to lay down with the children before any shooting started.
I don't think he said had gone to lay down with the children. I think
Had gone into the home,
right,
and then didn't come back out. The state hasn't created a nexus that she knew that there was firing going on at her home, such that when she spoke with Deputy Fox, she had the purpose to prevent, obstruct, or delay, or purpose to hide some sort of crime. There's been no testimony that she knew her husband was firing, or that she knew any.
Right. People in the next neighborhood could hear the gunfire, but her at the house, not drunk, couldn't hear it. Okay.
Who was fired? I mean, none of that is on the record. There's insufficient evidence at this point, even for Rule 29 for those key elements.
Well, the state's argument is that there is circumstantial evidence. Somebody fires, it's loud, she must have heard, even if she was asleep. I understand that this looks, well, let's just say I understand I have to look at this in the light most favorable to the state. The jury doesn't. And I guess that's the difference. So I'm going to overrule the motions for Rule 29 motion.
The defense does have a witness to call, Your Honor, whenever the jury comes back. Otherwise, you have other matters to attend to.
I just want to, Ms. Fairbanks and Mr. View, do you mind coming up?
All right, the jury's coming back in now.
Ms. Powell, you said your child care was good for today, right?
Yes, sir. Court of Common Pleas again in session. You may be seated. I just want to encourage you to solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in today's case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the state has rested and we're now proceeding with defense.
He was probably charged, I bet.
Mr. Shewitt.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record?
Taylor Preston,
Could you spell that, please?
Taylor.
I like her testimony,
Have you ever
guys.
testified before?
I have not.
All right. Well, if the question doesn't make sense, just let me know, okay? And try to make sure you don't say mm-hmm or but yeses or nos, okay? How old are you?
27.
Do you know Sierra Bailey?
I do.
And how do you know her?
Met her through TikTok.
When did you first come to meet her?
In person?
Yes.
About a year ago.
IRL.
Did you know her on September 23rd, 2023?
I did.
Did you see her that day?
I did.
All right. Could you please explain where you saw her?
I saw her at her house.
Okay. And was there a particular reason you were at the house?
It was Dustin's birthday party, and I bought her baby a new outfit, so I wanted to go try it on her.
Okay. You know her baby's name?
Saving. Saving Grace.
Saving Grace. Her name is
spell
Saving Grace.
Sayben.
Okay, thank you.
Sayben, guys.
And when you said Dustin just a moment ago, do you mean Dustin Bennett?
Yes, sir.
And do you know about what time you would have arrived at the Bailey residence?
Roughly, probably 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Was it still light out?
Yes.
And what did you do once you arrived at the Bailey residence?
They were all congregated by the fire, so I took a seat and just kind of hung out with them.
Okay. And this fire, is that like a fire pit?
Yes.
And was that kind of up on, if you're looking down the driveway from the road on the right-hand side,
Yes, sir.
kind of near the house?
Yes.
Had you been to the Bailey residence before?
Yes.
Do you know how many entrances there are to the Bailey residence?
One. The driveway.
And then what about doors to enter? Do you know how many doors there are?
2.
Okay. Could you describe where they would be?
The front and the side.
And by side, what do you mean by that?
By
Not front.
the bar area.
You say bar?
Yeah.
B-A-R?
Yeah.
Is there an area that is like a wet bar where they hold alcohol and you can drink?
Yes.
And so is the fire pit near the bar door?
Yes.
And so who were you talking to? And with Sierra?
The fire pit.
Did you at any point during that night see Sierra consume alcohol?
1 to 2 beers. If that.
And were you with her that period of time that you would have been able to see if she was consuming alcohol?
Yes, sir.
When you were with her, did she appear to be slurring her speech in any way?
Not at all.
She seemed intoxicated to you?
Not at all.
And how long do you think you were at the Bailey residence?
4 hours, roughly.
Did you ever see her take shots of alcohol?
No.
You said you were there about 4 hours, so why did you end up leaving?
I ended up leaving because they were doing a birthday cake incident, and they were shaking up beers and spraying them on everybody, and I knew I had to drive home, so I didn't want to get alcohol on me. And I went inside and I noticed that Sierra was sleeping, so I left.
When you said they were doing a birthday cake thing, was Sierra amongst that they?
No, she was already in bed.
And how do you know that?
Because I asked TJ and Dustin where Sierra was, and they said she was inside.
Did you ever see her yourself inside?
Yes.
Did you see Sierra inside?
Yes.
Was she awake?
No, she was sleeping.
Did you know when she had gone into the home?
I do not.
Did she tell you that she was going into the home?
No.
When she went into the home, were her children still outside?
No.
And when you went in to see her sleeping, do you know what part of the house she was sleeping?
Her bedroom.
It's her husband's birthday, so I'm sure she bought a cake. So if she's sleeping, who puts the candles on? Who cuts the cake? Who starts to sing happy birthday? Nobody. They all just stand around looking at the cake. Like, where's Sierra? Is Sierra coming to cut the cake? Who's going to put this is what happens. She wasn't asleep. Lies. I was believing this woman because she had the whole saving grace thing. No, she's a liar.
Is that right next to the driveway or somewhere else?
When you walk into her house, you walk into the family room.
And
In
you're
her
saying
bedroom.
this, sorry to bother you, but like from the front door or from that side door?
The front door. So from the front door, you walk in, there's a foyer. To your left, there's the family room. Her and TJ's bedroom was off the family room.
And is that closer to the road or closer to the barn and stalls?
Road.
I know it sounds a little silly to ask, but how do you know that Sierra was sleeping?
I said her name and she didn't say anything back.
Okay. And so what did you do?
I just left. I grabbed my purse and left.
And do you know about what time you would have gotten home?
I would say close to 11 o'clock.
And how far do you think it is from the Baileys to your residence time-wise?
About 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
At any point while you were at the Bailey residence on September 23rd, did you hear any gunfire?
No, sir.
When you were there, could you see TJ?
Yes,
Was he at the front of the house or somewhere else?
he was all over.
Okay. Did you ever see him back in the hay stall area?
No.
Did you see Dustin?
Nope.
Okay. Did you see Dustin? You said you were speaking with Dustin. Was that in the front of the house or the back?
At the fire pit.
Did you ever see Dustin firing a weapon?
No.
Did he ever talk to you about firing a weapon?
No.
So at the time that you left, was there any gunshots whatsoever?
No, sir.
Did you heard any discussion of gunshots?
No.
Nothing.
Cross-examination.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You said you never saw TJ back by the hay stalls. Correct. And did you ever see Dustin back there? No. You are aware there was in fact shooting there that night now, correct? As of now, yes. Okay. And so if you never saw TJ or Dustin back there, you left. Yes, ma'am. Before they started shooting. Yes, ma'am. Is what you think. But you think you left about 10:30. If you get home at 11, you live about a half hour away. Yes. Would it surprise you to know that the police were out at the property then before you left? What do you mean? Time-wise, the police were at the property just after 10 o'clock. You had already left before the police got there though, right? Yes, I left before the police got there. Okay. Do you know how long before the police got there you left? I do not. And you have no idea when Sierra came back out of her house after you left? No. So for all you know, as you testified today, she could have been sleeping for 30 seconds. Yes. And you did see Sierra consume alcohol, correct?
I saw her drink 1 beer,
1 to 2 beers.
1 to 2 beers.
And you don't know if she drank anything after you left.
Correct.
Was TJ drinking?
Yes.
Was Dustin drinking?
Yes.
Was TJ drinking more than Dustin?
Yes.
Did Sierra know TJ was drinking?
Yes.
Like, was he drinking in her presence?
I don't know if they talked about it or not, but he was drinking in her presence. Yes.
And fair to say that, well, you know about the birthday shot
Yes.
and the alcohol was getting spilled.
Yes.
Why did you not want to be a part of that?
Because I knew I had to drive home.
And so were you worried about consuming alcohol or wearing alcohol?
Just wearing alcohol, because it just takes one person to pull you over and they smell the alcohol on you.
And Sierra was not present for that, correct?
No, ma'am.
So she did not have alcohol spilled on her as a part of that?
No.
No, she was just drunk.
And you're fairly close with Sierra?
Yes, ma'am.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
You may step down. Council approach. Okay, there's only one more witness, but we can't, it's hard to predict how long it takes. And then if we finish that witness, we would go to closing arguments. And then after closing arguments, jury instructions, which takes 20 to 30 minutes. And then you would start deliberating. It would make it a very long day. So we're going to start tomorrow morning at 8:30. There'll be one witness remaining.
I do, Micah. In my defense, it's sort of my job. So, just knowing exactly how many drinks every single person in the room has consumed is just normal. It's habit. I have to. I can't not do it.
And then we'll have closing arguments. And then we'll have jury instructions. And you'll be permitted to deliberate.
True.
Mid-morning, late morning, tomorrow. And hopefully be well rested. Any questions? 8:30 a.m. is the time to start. All right. Now remember the instruction I gave you. You can't do any research, you can't do any investigation, you can't discuss the case with anyone. If your family wants to know about this case,
It was his niece.
you'll be happy to talk with them tomorrow at the end of the day. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. That was part 4. We have one more witness, closing arguments, and then verdict. I don't know how long that took because it was like the trial was all day long, but it was only in parts, and then all these people you saw in the gallery, they had their own court cases. So the trial would go on for a little bit, jury would leave, then he would do all these other cases, jury would come back. So as soon as I cut those parts together, I'll know how long, if we can do it all tomorrow. We might be able to do it all tomorrow. Oh, wait. Tomorrow's a holiday. Am I streaming tomorrow? You guys are probably going to be with your families or driving or something tomorrow. I should not stream tomorrow, should I? I don't know. I don't know what to do. All right. I'm going to put Fleischer on. So his day was not as good as it was yesterday. Yesterday was superb, both with, her and him. Okay, I'm streaming tomorrow. Okay, gotcha. So Joe's morgue, you kill him, we bury him. Oh, I'm glad I didn't put you on speaker. I'm so glad I didn't put you on speaker. That was a bad word. I'm trying to get monetized. Okay, bye. Bye, Fozzie. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. So I cut Judge Fleischer's docket in half. So, and I played more of this trial today. I just switched it. So now we have like 30 some 40 minutes of Judge Fleischer left. And I did an hour of this trial. That way we have Judge Fleischer because he is off tomorrow. Or I keep saying tomorrow. Yeah, it is tomorrow. So he's going to stream again today, and then he has off tomorrow, and then he has Friday. And we need enough to make it through the weekend. So that's why I did that. Makes sense to me. Yeah, he didn't even say hi to any of you. Just so you know, Fozzie didn't say hi to any of you. He just yelled at me and swore, said a bad word. I don't remember what it is. I don't think it was the H word. It could have been the D word. Not that D word, Carolyn. Okay. Time for Fleischer.
Order in the court while defendants in front of the judge.
Order in the chat.
Was he on bond for, I see that he has this FSGI from September of 23. Was he on bond for this case and then he picked up a new
FSGI?
case? Or was this a 2B where he didn't know about this?
I see that he was on, but I can't be sure because my deeds isn't working correctly.
I can't get anything to work.
Failure to stop and give
I'm not
information.
ready yet.
It's a traffic violation. FSGI.
Luis is here. Do you want to do the Spanish arraignments, I guess?
You can, but we're still having the same problem. I can't pull up the sets. But I can take.
Oh, you can't even pull up resets. Let me call Sony.
Swearing doesn't get me demonetized. Swearing just gets me the other demonetized.
Julio Smith Torres.
This is one video.
Mr. Smith Torres, you're charged with assault of a family member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present during any questions and interviews with the state of Texas. If you cannot afford a lawyer will be appointed to represent you.
On June 24th, 2024, law enforcement officers were dispatched to a disturbance/weapon call in Harris County, Texas. The complaining witness and the defendant have been in a dating relationship for a month. The complaining witness stated that he and the defendant got into a verbal altercation that turned physical over the complaining witness, joking that while the defendant was on the phone, he better not be talking to anyone else. To which the defendant got upset and started yelling. The defendant and his knees on the edge of the bed where he lost his balance and fell back. The complaining witness stated he smiled a little and the defendant got up and punched him one time to his chest and one time to the left side of his face using his right hand and closed fist. The complaining witness said that he felt pain, and the defendant then tried to throw a heavy glass cup at the complaining witness but missed and hit the bedroom wall instead. The defendant then got up and went to the kitchen to retrieve a kitchen knife and began to approach the complaining witness with
He grabbed the kitchen knife and started to approach.
to retrieve a kitchen knife and began to approach the complaining witness with a knife down by his side. The complaining witness then ran into the bathroom and locked himself in while on the phone with the police. The complaining witness received a notification from his Ring doorbell app that the defendant had left with a bag of his belongings. The complaining witness said that he did fear for his life and wants to press charges. Law enforcement officers observed damage to the wall and minor abrasions to the complaining witness's left side of his forehead and redness to his face.
Mr. Smith Torres, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Tell me, he has a prior aggravated assault from January of this year. It was an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon reduced to, from what I see, a misdemeanor assault, and he did a year in Harris County Jail. Was this the same complaining witness?
No, Your Honor, it's not.
What happened in that case? Another knife?
In that case, it was a hammer.
Mr. Smith Torres, I'm going to do everything in my power to protect. Look at me. I'm going to do everything in my power to protect every single person of Harris County. If that means lighting you up in custody, I'm going to do it in a heartbeat, sir. I'm now ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with this witness, not to consume alcohol, dope, and I'm going to put an ankle monitor so I know where you are at all times. If I find that you go anywhere near this person, I will deem you a public danger, make your bond so high you're going to flip. You understand? No weapons. That includes kitchen knives, that includes hammers, that includes cars. If I find that you act in a fool in the free world, I'm going to take the free world away from you. Are you a United States citizen? Are you in this country with or without permission?
With permission.
What type of permission do you have?
Residency.
Do you realize the more criminal cases you pick up, the higher likelihood you have? Look at me. The more criminal cases you pick up, the higher likelihood you have of them revoking that residency and sending you back to your country of origin. You are not a citizen. And I'm going to tell you now, United States doesn't give citizenship to people who continually pick up criminal cases. What do you do for a living?
Barber. Hair cutting.
I'm putting a GPS monitor on you, sir, and I'm ordering you to stay 1,000 feet away from this person. If you violate this condition, like I said, you know where you will end up, sir. We're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. I have a financial affidavit here that says that you make nothing. Do you have an income, sir?
I do, a little bit. Fozzie, thank you so much for the PayPal. I really appreciate it. And all right, Mecha Fanboy, thank you so much for the Patreon. I really, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
How do you eat?
get given some, I don't know.
What do you say, Luis?
Que le regalan. So, like they give it to me, I get gifted.
You must get a full-time job.
Debe de conseguir un trabajo.
I'm going to give you a lawyer today, Mr. Smith Torres. But I'm also now making it a condition of your bond that you get a full-time job. And I'm going to bring you back here in 2 weeks to see what you have done to get a full-time job. You have way too much time on your hands. And when people have too much time on their hands, they become self-destructive. You understand, sir? So there's an application already on file. I'm going to have you sign a reset with Victoria. After that, you will meet with Tracy for your bond conditions. After that, I'm going to have you take a seat in the jury box while I get your bond conditions. Or while I find your lawyer. Do not violate these conditions, Mr. Smith Torres. Okay.
Well, the judge started off with a bang, huh? Ooh.
I guess I'm curious if you guys evaluated for another ag assault charge. No? Or did he even, I guess he didn't go close to him with the knife. That's what happened. He just went and got the knife.
And that's when the complaining witness.
Call the cops.
Does anybody remember if Judge Fleischer used to be a prosecutor or a public defender or a private defender? I mean, which side was he on?
Okay. All right.
Maybe he was both.
Ready for the next
Yep,
one, Jen?
yep.
All right, or did you want us to try to start back?
Today
No,
we're going to
let's-
call
let's
that
do all
orange.
with
Yes,
booze.
orange bow tie.
What
We
we
have
have.
All
to.
right, Judge, next one is page 5, Cordova. Come on up.
Go Netherlands.
Alberto Cordova. Page 8, Foster.
So I did miss it yesterday, and I apologize because you know how Americans are. We are just selfish and ignorant of the rest of the world. And maybe I'm even 2 days off. I hope I'm not. I hope it was just yesterday, and I just missed it by a couple hours and not like a lot of hours. Happy Canada Day. Sorry I missed it. Happy Canada Day, everybody from Canada. And you guys don't even know, we have a large quantity of people from Canada watching and the UK.
Good morning, Mr. Foster. So you're charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon. You're facing up to a year in.
We cannot invade Canada. Canada is our hat, and Myco Psycho loves hats. So Canada is completely safe as long as Myco Psycho says so.
Jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir. Okay.
On January 1st, 2024, officers conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle for an expired license plate. The officer asked him if anything illegal was in the vehicle, and he did not consent to a search. Officers advised the defendant that a canine would be brought out, and he consented to a search. 2.4 ounces of green leafy substance recovered from backpack in the back seat of the car, along with a pistol. The defendant is 20 years old, and his mom showed up, and she said he always has a gun on him.
All right, Mr. Foster, you're going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. So you said, well, oh, he had the expired tag. That's why he was pulled over. Okay, and how old are you, Mr. Foster?
It says license plate, but Logan called the officer and verified that that was the reason for the arrest.
Okay. Do you have a Texas driver license, Mr. Foster? Do you have valid liability insurance in your name? Okay, you're not allowed to drive then. I'm making that a condition of your bond. If you want to drive, you must get liability insurance that's in your name with the car that you're driving. I'm also ordering you as a condition of your bond not to be in possession of any weapons as well. If you violate these conditions, or if you pick up a new case, I will revoke your bond. I will put you in jail. What are you doing with your life now? Okay. Okay. Did you graduate from high school? Great. Did you want to apply for an appointed lawyer, sir? Did you want to apply for an appointed lawyer? Correct. Okay. Let me see if I have one on file. Shoot.
I have, I bought a firearm from the pawn shop.
I'm not gonna talk to you about the case, okay?
It's not the case.
It is about the case. You're talking to me about a gun. Right now, when I mean no weapons, I mean no weapons from any source. I don't care where you got it. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care where you're going. You understand? If I see that you have a gun on you, I'm going to put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bond. You're 20 years old. If you want to work, go work. You don't need a gun at this moment in your life. Understand? All right. I will give you, Stephen's going to give you an application. I'm going to have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. We will have you take a seat in the jury box. Do not leave until you sign our bond conditions, and we'll have you talk to a lawyer here momentarily. Okay? Please.
Page 8, Garcia, come on up. Go ahead and sign.
Logan, do you mind filing conditions, no weapons and no driving, please, without liability insurance?
You guys have one as well?
I didn't know. I mean,
Okay, that's it.
what is your last name, sir?
Garcia.
John Edward?
Isn't John Edward that psychic medium that talks to dead people?
Yes. Yes, Victoria. Those states.
Your Honor. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
It's okay. I see that you have a Mr. Garcia on the docket today, and I'm about to do PC on it. Are you going to be here today? For sure. We'll wait for you, okay? Okay, thanks. Mr. Garcia, just take a seat from in the pew over there. The lawyer's about to come. We can do it when he gets here.
Victoria had a question about the commission.
No, wait, for who?
Garcia, the one, I'm sorry, Garcia.
The other gentleman. Right before.
Foster. Go ahead and have-
No, not for Foster, for the first gentleman, Smith. It was Smith Torres gets the GPS. Tracy. Yeah, okay, but not Foster. Hi.
I'm Cordova.
Morning, Miss Swan.
Good morning, how are you?
Tuesday.
I know, I'm leaving the country tomorrow, so.
Nice. Take me with you.
So happy.
Where are you going?
England, my relatives live over there, they're having a big family reunion.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's just weird, like, here's your cousin, here, you know.
Beautifully
we-
inappropriate.
I know.
She's coming to
Yeah,
you.
it should be
Who is this?
Cordova, Your Honor.
Cordova.
Page 5.
Alberto Cordova. You speak English, sir? Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you, sir. Okay.
On June 29th, 2024, at approximately 2:19 a.m., officers observed a vehicle drive over the center median concrete barrier of the roadway and swerve in and out of his lane. Officers conducted a traffic stop, and the driver was ID'd by his Texas driver's license, and officers observed a strong odor of alcohol on the breath, glossy eyes, slurred speech, and unsteady balance. The defendant denied drinking, but there was 2 open Modelo's in the center console.
2 open beers in the car.
The defendant refused to do standard field sobriety test. DIC was read, breath was refused, and a blood warrant was executed and blood was drawn. The defendant's prior DWI was August 3rd, 2023 in this court, Your Honor.
Can you run his NCIC to see if he has any other prior DWIs from any other jurisdictions, please?
Sure.
Mr. Cordova, I would hope that you understand it's elementary not to have alcohol in the car. And I'm going to tell you that if they allege it as such, it's a minimum of 5 days in jail to any sentence that you get. 5 flat days. Did you say there was a breath or blood test?
Blood pursuant to a warrant.
Mr. Cordova, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case.
There are no other DWIs from
No.
the jurisdiction in the present listenership at all.
Do you have valid liability insurance in your name, Mr. Cordova? Then you are not allowed to drive. You will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising me you're not going to drive. If you drove here today, you may not drive home. Someone else must take the vehicle for you. You will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising me you're not going to drive. And I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care. Mother Teresa needs to go to church. A kid, there's a burning building. You have to save a little kitty. I don't care what the deal is. You drive, I will have a contempt hearing. You'll be facing an additional 6 months every time you drive. Do you understand? Because it's a second offense, I'm now ordering you not to, or to obtain a handheld portable device that you're going to take with you everywhere you go to prove to me that you're not consuming alcohol.
Save the kitties.
The machine that you're going to get is extremely finicky. I would not consume anything at least
Just like a
30 minutes
kitty.
prior to blowing into it, because it will give a false positive. Because remember, food ferments. You eat a banana that's rotten, what's going to happen? It could possibly have yeast in it, which will give a false positive. I don't care what your excuse is. You blow hot on that thing, you will go to jail. If the battery dies because you failed to charge it, that thing dies, so do you. You will go to jail. Do you understand, sir? There's absolutely no excuse. If you have any questions, you have a fantastic lawyer. She can answer everything for you. I will not entertain any excuse from you, Mr. Cordova. As it stands now, you are not allowed to drive at all. I will have you come up here, swear to me that you're not going to drive. Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance, but it's your responsibility to stay in touch with Ms. Saman. If she comes back to me and tells me that you're playing a fool and that you're not answering the phone calls, text messages, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. You pick up a new case, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. You will not get any more PR bonds from us. Do you understand? I'm not asking anything crazy from you. All I'm asking you to do is follow the law. That's it. So we will have you come up here, swear to us you're not going to drive. You will get to Victoria. We will have you sign a reset. Eventually, you get with Tracy for your bond conditions, and after that, you may go. You're skirting a thin line. You break through, your butt's going to freeze, sir. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Judge. May we be excused after? Okay.
The portable agency thing.
That's fine. Yeah.
Raise your right hand.
Do you have an arraignment?
Sorry, Judge.
Yeah.
No, sir.
No?
I just got a case that's on the regular docket.
Got it. Okay.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right, page 9, Herrera. Child. Reset date for acting the bond.
Got it. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Herrera. So it appears that your lawyer is in trial. So we're going to do now everything that we would do. Doesn't matter who it's in front of us now. We already have a reset date for you. So you just need to stay in contact with him.
Yes, sir.
You're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. Just hang tight, please.
On June 23rd, 2024, officers were dispatched to a minor accident in Harris County, Texas, where a truck rear-ended a sedan. The officer observed the defendant leaning on the front hood of the truck, drinking a bottle of water profusely. The defendant was further observed using the truck as a method to
Hefeweizen
stabilize
tastes like
himself.
banana.
The defendant admitted to operating the truck. A strong odor of alcoholic beverage was emanating from his person, and the defendant's lawyer further informed him to refuse everything. The defendant further declined standard field sobriety tests, and he refused to provide a sample of his breath and or blood. On video, the defendant admitted on the camera to the witness that he did not have insurance and please do not call the police. And there was a blood warrant.
Tell me, can you look him up to see if he has any prior DWIs? Please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Herrera, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Do you have a Texas driver license, sir? Do you have valid liability insurance? According to them, you do not.
Yeah, no, I was,
Stop. All I want you to know is that if you want to drive, I will allow, but I need to know that you have insurance in your name and you need to prove it to us. So we need you to get through your lawyer to get it, to show it to us that you have insurance, and then I'm okay with you driving.
No.
No prior DWIs? Okay, I will not put any ignition interlock on you, but I am ordering you not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. I'm going to randomly test you. As long as you don't consume alcohol, you don't use drugs, and you don't pick up a new case, you will be fine with us. Now, you have a lawyer. I will waive your appearance so you don't have to waste your time coming to court, but you must stay in touch with Wilvin, and he'll tell you if and when you have to come back to court. If he tells me he can't get a hold of you, I will issue a warrant. No alcohol, no drugs, don't pick up any new cases. If your license does become suspended, you may not drive, and Wilvin will tell you about that as well. For now, I'll have you go to Victoria. We'll have you sign a reset. You'll eventually get with trace view bond conditions, and after that, you may go. Okay, please.
Ken, Jenkins, come on up.
Good morning, Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins, you're charged with assault of a family member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
On June 24th, 2024, officers were dispatched to an assault injury in Harris County, Texas. The complaining witness and the defendant have been married for 13 years. The complaining witness.
I'm
stated
getting
that the
bailed out
defendant
soon.
started to argue with her. So dangerous. Face and hooked her head with his finger, and then closed his fist, punched her in the lip, causing the complaining witness to feel stated that the punch was so hard he knocked her front two dentures out. Defendant also threw a jar of jelly at her right arm, which left a visible mark. Officers observed the complaining witness's shirt to be wet, her right nostril to have blood, and her upper lip to have a cut on the inside, and a small mark on the complaining witness's right rear bicep, and her two dentures in her hand.
Mr. Jenkins, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm now ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case and not to be in possession of weapons. Do you understand? If you violate this condition, I will put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. I will do everything in my power to protect every single person of Harris County. I don't care what your excuse is. I don't care who you are, what you're doing. You become a problem. There's only one place you will go to. Do you understand, sir? We are going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. I'm going to have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. After that, I will have you take a seat in the jury box while we get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it, and then we'll let you go. Don't pick up any new cases. No contact. Do you understand, sir? Okay, please. No content, no weapons, please. If you can file. Do you know how to file it or
I
not?
can't file them, but
Logan, do you mind?
I do notice that, Damien left a note to drop the residency restriction.
Knocked her teeth out, man.
Page 11, Jones, come on up.
Clifford?
What's your last name, sir?
Jones.
Jones.
Sounds fake to me,
Is it
Jones.
Jamarcus? Okay, Mr. Jones, you're charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
On June 22nd, 2024, officers of the HPD crime suppression team were advised that they observed a large group of individuals gambling/shooting dice, a Class C violation, at the corner of 300 Riley and 3100 Alabama in Harris County, Texas. Officers arrived at the location and observed the defendant among the individuals gambling, and the defendant began walking away upon officers' arrival. Officers issued multiple verbal commands to the defendant to stop in order to detain and identify him for the gambling investigation. Upon detention, officers conducted a weapon pat-down of defendant's person and located a loaded Glock 19 handgun in the waistband of the defendant, unholstered with a round in the chamber. The officers identified him as the defendant and that he was 17.
So did anyone see him shooting dice?
Officers were dispatched to individuals gambling and shooting dice, but it doesn't say that they personally observed him.
So they don't know what he was doing. He was just in the crowd.
Just that he was among the individuals gambling. I told you so.
Yeah, I know. All right. Mr. Jones, I'm going to find no probable cause in your case. Be careful, man. You're only 17. God forbid you have to use something like that and end up in a position where you're going to stuck in the pokey for a long time. Do you understand? What do you do in life, man? Go to welding school. There's no need for you to have a gun at this moment, man. You're only 17. Get to welding school. You can make a ton of money. And I'm telling you, you go do underwater welding, 150 a year. You kill it. That's what you should be. That's what you should be killing. You know what I mean? All right, go ahead, take a seat for me, sir.
Good job, Judge. Tell him to do underwater welding. They do make a lot of money.
Again, walking while black.
She is getting much better at reading the charges off. Every day, she's getting better.
He was taken into custody last week.
Well, on what planet do you think that you could talk to the DA, Mr. Luna? Have we not had enough interaction before? Have we appointed Mr. Luna a lawyer, Victoria?
He had someone on his original case.
That reminds me, Fozzie. American Courts has one short that's almost at 1 million views. So I have it as a post on my channel. I have it linked right there. Just go watch it. Just go watch it. It's a sob sit. It's great. You'll love it. It's not a bad short. It's an amazing short. This judge doesn't take nothing with this sob set. He's like, nope, we're not doing this. So, go watch it and help her get 1 million views off one short. Him, her.
Vanessa.
David Russian is on his original case.
Okay, let's take a seat for me in the jury box, Mr. Lund. I'm not ready. We need Mr. Rushing.
Okay.
Are you ready?
We're ready, Your Honor.
Okay. This is for Garcia. Coming up, Mr. Garcia. All right, John, you're charged.
Just so you know, legal, how hilarious that is. What was it, like a couple nights ago? I said in my stream that somebody commented, I made a short and they were like, why are you making shorts? I can't see the whole case or whatever. They complained they couldn't see the whole case in the short, which was ridiculous to me. I know Fozzie said something to another one too, but I keep getting these comments over and over and over again. It wasn't just one idiot. It's a lot of people who are upset they don't see the whole case in a short. And none of them are watching this live stream because they're only watching shorts. But if you want to see a whole case, you can't watch a short. But I can't tell them that because they don't watch live streams at all. They only watch these little shorts. Oh.
With deadly conduct, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, will be appointed to you, sir. Okay.
On June 21st, 2024, officers with the Traffic Crimes Task Force were monitoring a street takeover. Plainclothes officers observed the defendant perform donuts with passengers in his car in a pit within 20 feet of other vehicles. Uniformed officers then made the traffic stop on the vehicle and identified the defendant by his Texas ID. The defendant does have a Texas driver's license.
What did you say? So exactly what did he do? Was he doing donuts?
Donuts with passengers in the vehicle in a pit within 20 feet of other vehicles.
Okay. Anything that you wanted to add?
Judge, the state has listed the complaining witnesses as the passengers in his vehicle. There's nothing indicating that he was within less than 20 feet that would make it deadly conduct. It's happening in a parking lot. I don't hear probable cause.
Did you say that he put anyone in danger?
He was recklessly swinging his vehicle in donuts with passengers in the car. So his passengers would be.
Yeah, I'm also right.
If you lost control, those passengers would be injured and someone could lose their life from this conduct.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Garcia, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward in the case. You know, the only thing I'm going to tell you now is that this Texas legislature has made it very easy to seize and take cars from individuals who participate in these types of activities, be it reckless driving, donuts, street takeovers. I've had people come in here where the state has seized the car and takes it as fruit of a crime and you don't get it back. Would be very careful. Like I said, I'm going to find probable cause. I am ordering you as a condition of your bond not to participate in any more street takeovers, no donuts, reckless driving, anything like this, no racing. If you do this, I'm going to put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bumps. Do you understand, sir? As it stands now, I'm not going to take your license away, but if I find that you continue to do this, I will take your privilege to drive away from you permanently and you will not be able to drive. I don't want to have to do that. And I'm going to tell you, living in a city as big as Houston without the ability to drive blows, right? Yeah, take that into consideration. Now, you have a great lawyer. He will take care of the case for you. I will waive your appearance so you don't have to wait.
Kelly can confirm that.
Stay in touch.
Yes, sir.
And they will tell you if and when you have to come back to court.
Buses are cold.
Do you have any questions? Okay. For now, I'll have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. We will have you just take a seat while we get your bond conditions, while you sign it, and then you'll be free to go. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks. You too, man. Have fun.
Judge page 14, Ruiz, come on up.
So, hey, Logan, on that one, do you mind no racing, reckless driving, donuts, street takeovers, please?
All right, guys, that was it because now we have enough left over for tomorrow. And then we still need to go through Saturday and Sunday. So I rationed the judge out, rationed him out. And hopefully we can finish the trial tomorrow. Although I just think it's really rude of me to do the verdict tomorrow because, I mean, what if people don't come to this, don't watch because it's a holiday? They're with their families and stuff. Is that like really rude? Am I being really? No, they can just watch the stream the next day, right? Hi, Sally. They could just watch the stream the next day. I mean, when I had life interfere with my Law Talk with Mike viewing, I just watched his stream the next day. It was not a big deal. Fozzie, thank you. I appreciate you guys too. You guys are great. Every day, man, I get so excited. We're all like one team, all of us. No, none of us would this wouldn't be nothing with just one of us. It's all of us. And Steven. Hi, Steven. Very tall Steven. So, yep, that's what we're gonna do tomorrow. We're gonna finish the case. I just decided it now. And since I said it, now I have to do it because then I'll feel really bad if I don't do it. Yep. And then don't forget to go click on that link, highlight foot, and make American Courts get a million views on that. That would be so cool, wouldn't it? I haven't seen like Law Talk with Mike's numbers or Old Squishy Gardner numbers on their shorts. They probably already get a million views. I don't know. I have no idea. But this is the first like, court Sob sit court one that is even close to a million. And it's so close. It's like 995,000 and maybe it's more by now. I don't know. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. Yep. Okay. I'm not going to Discord today. I want to go close my eyes. I'm going to go close these eyes so they're bothering me. I go to sleep. I love court, but just watching too. I don't want to go. I will talk to you guys in 24 hours. And Fozzie, no, there won't be an answer in 24 hours. So no. Bye, guys. I hope you have a great night. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming out. Oh, happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, guys. I know it's not there yet, but I might not see you tomorrow. So you might not watch. So happy 4th of July. Bye. Um, it doubled, Kelly. It doubled. Bye, guys.